Hello. We're starting this off in Band in a Box with a small preloaded song template that I've created, and we're going to use the Mozart 44 style, which is left-hand piano accompaniment. This is set to a tempo of 135 beats per minute with some simple instrumentation, piano for the left hand and also piano for the melody. And in this case I've used the East-West Quantum Leap Pianos Gold Bechstein instrument for both the left hand and also for the melody. I'm going to generate the melody first because I don't want to get locked into a chord progression, and I've decided to build this at 4 bars at a time, which makes it easier to smooth out any issues with the melody before we go on to create a larger piece. Now I'm going to go into the melody Sketchpad, and the first thing I'm going to do is to set the tempo to the same as the style in Band in a Box. It's not necessary, but it just makes it easier to compare. We're going to keep this quite simple, so I'm going to stay in C. I'm going to stay with the 4/4 time signature to match the style, and the chords I'm going to choose, or the scale progression I'm going to choose, is C, D minor, A minor and G. So these aren't chords as such, but these will generate notes within those chordal scales. I'm going to leave each bar on random, but because I'm doing that, I don't want this to get too busy with notes, so I'm going to take off the semiquaver generation for each of those bars, otherwise it get rather busy. So let's have a listen to the melody. Okay, so that's a melody generated. I'm not sure we will stay with that, but we need to put it against some chords, so I'm going to save it to this file. I've overwritten a file at the top of the list just for ease of demonstration. Normally I would save them to individual files. So let's import this file into Band in a Box. And because there's a 2-bar count in, I'm going to insert 2 blank lines at the beginning of the MIDI melody file. And now we're going to import that. There's 1 channel on that file, so let's import that. And those 12 notes that were generated have now been brought into Band in a Box. So we need to put some chords into this to mirror the chord structure that we had in the generator. Have a listen. Well, I think this is something that could go somewhere. I'm just going to go back in here because I think the last bar was quite busy, and I want it to be able to lead in to the next part, which will be the same as the first part with some variation. So we'll just have 2 notes in the last bar. I'm just going to bring that note down at the end so it fits in with the scale progression. As our last chord is going to be G, then I'd like it to finish on a note that's actually within that scale. So again, we'll overwrite this file, which is quite a bad habit. And let's import this. Now, the one thing we need to make sure is that we don't merge it with existing notes, because we'd be adding to the ones we already had. That's sounding quite nice, so I'm going to stay with that. I'm not sure about the first part, however, so I'm just going to have a look at what that would sound like if we change that. That could be quite interesting because we've got some slow notes towards the end, some long notes. Let's have a look if we start faster and then come down slower at the end. And we'll just again import that particular MIDI file. Yeah, it still sounds a little bit random with all those notes at the beginning. Let's just take it down a bit, and we'll have single crotchet beats at the beginning and then the slower notes at the end. I'm not averse to slow notes in a melody because if you take them off piano and use woodwind instruments as for instance, you might want something that lasts a bit longer, say for clarinet or oboes. Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. So what I'm going to do now is to insert the next 4 bars. And I'm going to use the K command to copy what we've already got. That will copy the melody as well as the chords. I'm going to have a look at this last G because I want this to finish on 1 note, not 2. So I'm going to get rid of this note here. I'm going to move this one up so that it gives me a nice hook into the next part of the piece. And we'll make that a nice long note. Yes, I like that. That sounds okay. That's not bad at all. I'm going to insert the next 8 bars for the next part of the song, although I'm only going to add 4 at a time because I think that's the right thing to do. I'm going to go into F this time, and the scale progressions I'm going to use F, A minor, F and A minor. Just remember to unfreeze those particular bars. Otherwise I'll just get the same as I had before. I'm going to go for 2 bars of crotchets and 2 bars of minims. Yeah. One thing I never do is to discount a generated melody because sometimes it can sound quite good. I'm just going to adjust this note. As I say, I never discount a generated melody without listening to it with chords first, because sometimes it can actually sound quite good, particularly if there are notes that are not actually part of that chordal scale. They sometimes still work very well. So let's bring this part in. I saved it to the same MIDI file name. What we need to do this time is insert 10 blank bars because we're starting on bar 9, and we need to merge with the existing notes. So there was 2 bars for the count in, the 8 bars we already had makes 10 bars to insert. Let's have a listen to these 4 new bars. Right, okay, so let's just have a look and a listen. Yeah, I'm not 100% happy with that. So what I'm going to do is just move these notes a little bit closer in, because we've got an upwards pattern. Let's see what that sounds like. It sounds more pleasing to the ear than what we had before, although what we had before would have worked fairly well. Let's just move that to there. One more. And then we can see that will go back to there and there. Okay, that creates the right kind of tension for those 4 bars, because we're now going to add another 4. This time I'm going to finish on G, and to be traditional a G7, because this needs to be the turnaround that takes us back into C. What I like to do for this is to have one note during that G and G7 turnaround. Okay, how to make it, yeah. In fact, I think I'll stay with 2 notes. Okay, well that works. So I need now to insert my remaining 8 bars. And the flexibility in Band in a Box to allow you to do this is absolutely phenomenal. It really does speed things up. Again, I'm going to use the K command. Copied the 8 bars from bar 1 onwards. That turns around quite nicely. Goes from the G into the C. Yeah. Now I need to finish on a C. Otherwise it will sound a completely open-ended piece. And this time on C I want to finish on C as a single note. And that gives us the ending. It's a fairly weak ending, so what I want to do is to reinforce that ending. And the way that I'm going to do this is to add another 4 bars and then simply replicate the last 2 bars over these 4 bars. Let's give this thing a title, Raindrops. And now let's have a look. Oops, I think I need to hit the home key first. And now let's have a look. And press spacebar to start. And we could make further changes and maybe chop some of those minims into smaller value notes. But for now, let's just play the whole piece, see what it sounds like. Now here's the ending, and here's the reinforcement. Yeah, I like that. I could see with some other instruments in there as well, it could sound quite nice. I think there's too many long notes in. I'm going to see if we can just chop this up a little bit. So we'll halve the length of that note. We will add another note in there. I'm going to have to change the velocity on that note. It's far too loud and it triggers quite harshly on the piano VST. Let's have a little listen. Yeah, it's good but not great, so let's just shorten out these notes a bit. because we've got sort of like an up and a down and an up and a down, so I want to kind of keep that feel in this particular bar as well. Yep. And then I think we're pretty sure where the next note's got to go. Yeah, that would fit with that one. So what we've done here is to use the basic idea that was generated to start to be able to mould it into a more musical sort of melody. And here we go into the turnaround. Yeah, we need to change that, so I'm going to copy these down again. I think I've actually done that wrong. I think I've copied into the wrong place there, but let's have a look. I don't want to edit anything out of here because I want to make sure that it's the whole process is shown. Yeah, well, I think those bits are right. Let's again into the piano roll, and we'll just adjust those. I'm just looking here to see whether or not I have copied the wrong bit. I think I might have. Let's just extend this note along. Not sure about those bits, so I think we're going to have to go back and have a look. Yeah, I put them in the wrong place, haven't I? Because that should be the ending, not the second part of the first bit. And I can see there's 3 lines exactly the same. So the K command is good, but it's to be used with care, particularly when it asks you if you want to overwrite something, and you've chosen yes, like I did, when in fact I should have chosen no, and not put it in. No bother, we can soon remedy that. Let's put those 8 bars back in there. That's what I wanted. Yep. That's good. What I'm going to have to do now, of course, is to change this G here to go back to C. But it's a useful exercise to show how that worked. And we just bring that down to C. Nothing lost. Just a little bit of time, and then of course copying the last 2 bars of the whole piece, so we've got that strength on the ending there. Yeah, that's back to where it needs to be. And as I say, I've left this bit in the video just really to show off how easy it is to make those changes in Band in a Box, and also how easy it is to re-edit. So that works fine. Quite happy with that. Oops, just need to press the home key. There we go. We'll go back to the beginning of the music, hit the space bar, and now we can hear our piece. And considering this was little more than a sketch, less than half an hour ago, I'm quite pleased with that. We could do some further refinement on the nose. As I said, we could make it less repetitive on some of the repeat bars, which we'll probably do later, as I want to expand this into a full piece. using more orchestral instruments. Hence the reason for leaving some of those long notes in there, because they will sound better on woodwind and possibly strings. So that's good. We could maybe make it just a little bit better, and I think this is the benefit to me of melody-based composition as opposed to chord progression based. And what I mean by that is that my emphasis is around the melody and making things fit to it. I'm going to tweak that note down a bit. Actually, that fits better in that little join there where the bridge comes in. Yeah, I mean that works, but it is a little bit repetitive. So again, what I want to do is I want to focus on the melody, because I think the melody is quite strong at this point. I just want to see what two notes we've got in that bar, because I might want to substitute the chord on that and take it away from an F. I haven't really got a lot to choose from because I've got a C and an A in there. Sorry, I beg your pardon, I have an F and a C. So there's not much else I can do with that, although I might take a gamble with that being the first note in that bar, being F. And because the way it flows, we could possibly get away with putting a D minor at that chord. Because F is the third on a D minor chord, and that could bring a little bit of life to it. So let's just make that change, and we'll just put a D minor. No, not in that bar, because that's the wrong bar. We'll just change that F for a D minor. Let's just hear how it goes. Yeah, it needs something just to make that slightly different. So let's go with D minor, see how it works. Oh yes, it's a good gamble. Doesn't always work. We've only got two notes in a bar, but I think the F note there is so strong on that third of D minor. Yeah, I'm quite liking this. Yes, press home, take you to the beginning of the song, and press the space bar, and let's hear the final piece. Yeah, I'm very happy with that, and I think in terms of total composition time, we're looking at a little over 20 minutes there for what's more or less a full song. I hope this has been useful. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and if anybody has any questions or comments, then please let me know.